Not every battle is meant for you to fight. Sometimes, the struggle you feel isn't just with the person standing right in front of you, it runs much deeper. Into the unseen realms of spirit and intention. When I say you don't need to explain yourself to the demons in others, I'm not speaking just in metaphors. There are invisible forces at work, powers beyond what the naked eye can see. Have you ever caught yourself desperately trying to defend who you are, what you said, or what you believe, only to realize no matter how clearly or honestly you explain, the other person still twists your words, questions your motives, and doubts your heart? This isn't just a misunderstanding. It's a spiritual attack. It's easy to get trapped in the exhausting cycle of trying to make everyone understand you. You think, if I just say it differently, they'll get it, or maybe, if I explain it one more time, finally they'll see where I'm coming from. But instead, you find yourself stuck in an endless loop of rephrasing and defending, pouring your energy into a bottomless pit. That's because you're not just facing a person, you're confronting a spirit of confusion, accusation, and manipulation. These spirits don't want clarity, they thrive on chaos. They aren't interested in truth, they feed on deception. Their goal? To steal your peace. Think about it. How often have you noticed someone twisting your words into something negative? You say, I'm focusing on my health, and they hear, I think I'm better than you. You mention a new opportunity, and suddenly they doubt your skills or question your intentions. You share a moment of joy, and they respond with skepticism or indifference. It's like talking to a wall, except it's a wall that hurls bricks back at you. Yet, you keep engaging, hoping this time will be different. But it never is. The more you try, the more drained you become. This isn't just an emotional struggle, it's a spiritual transaction. You are giving away your energy, your peace, your joy to something that was never meant to receive it. Some people have allowed bitterness, envy, and anger to take deep root in their hearts. When you speak to them, you're not reaching their best selves, you're facing the wounds, fears, and darkness they've allowed to grow. Often, they don't even realize they've become vessels for this negativity. They think they're protecting themselves or telling their truth, but in reality, they're projecting their pain onto you. Meanwhile, you stand there with a good heart, trying to make sense of it all, searching for the right words to break through. But what if I told you that your words aren't the solution? What if the real answer isn't explaining yourself more, but pulling back and protecting your spirit? Remember when Jesus stood before Pilate, accused and attacked? He didn't waste time explaining or defending. He didn't argue or justify himself. He knew the truth, and he knew the hearts of those accusing him were already hardened. Sometimes, the strongest response is silence. Sometimes, the greatest act of power is simply walking away. Not every audience deserves your story. Not every ear deserves your truth. Not every spirit deserves your energy. When you engage with someone influenced by negativity, you step into their battlefield, a battle that can never be won by words. Instead of engaging, start discerning. Instead of explaining, start retreating. This isn't about passivity or avoiding conflict. It's about recognizing that some battles are designed only to drain you. They are traps, and the enemy knows that if he can keep you defending yourself, he can keep you distracted from your true purpose. If he keeps you tangled in endless debates, he steals your time and energy. If he keeps you doubting yourself because of others' opinions, he silences your voice and weakens your confidence. You must rise above this. You have to see when the conversation stops being a conversation and becomes a scheme to pull you down. Learn to say, I don't need to explain myself here, and let that be enough. Your value isn't measured by how well you convince others of your worth. Your truth doesn't become any less real just because someone refuses to see it. You don't owe everyone an explanation, and you certainly don't owe the enemy a seat at your table. You aren't obligated to make demons comfortable. You are called to walk in peace, truth, and power, and sometimes that means walking away. Understand this. Your silence is not defeat, it's strategy. Your distance isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The Bible tells us to guard our hearts, because everything flows from it. You can't protect your heart if it's always open to attack. You can't maintain your peace if it's constantly up for debate. The enemy knows this, so he'll use people, even those closest to you, to lure you into pointless battles. But you have a choice. You can choose to protect your peace. You can choose to keep your spirit whole. You can choose to let your silence speak for you. Your peace is your most valuable possession. Don't give it away lightly, especially not to those who thrive on chaos and confusion. In a world constantly pulling for your attention and energy, remember, your peace is sacred. Guard it fiercely, just as we talked about protecting your peace by knowing when to step back. It's important to recognize how fragile that peace really is. Often, peace of mind feels under siege, not by grand battles, but by the everyday people who seem determined to shake your calm. You know the type. The ones who always have a criticism ready, a complaint to share, or a crisis brewing. They never notice the good, they only spotlight the faults. It's as if they find some strange joy in bringing negativity wherever they go. If you're not careful, these people can slowly drain your peace. You might catch yourself explaining, defending, trying hard to make them see things your way, but here's the hard truth. The cost of that is just too high. Protecting your peace is not a luxury, it's a necessity. When you constantly find yourself having to explain who you are, why you did what you did, or what you really meant by what you said, you're giving away pieces of yourself. It may feel small at first, just a quick conversation, a simple explanation, but those small moments add up. Gradually, you start to feel exhausted and can't quite understand why. The answer is that you're allowing your peace to be chipped away, bit by bit, moment by moment. The more you engage with negativity, the more you invite it inside your spirit. What was once just external chaos soon turns into internal turmoil. What began as their confusion becomes your anxiety. What started as their problem becomes your burden. Some people carry a storm cloud with them wherever they go, even in the calmest moments. Give them a few minutes and they'll stir things up, finding reasons to argue, to doubt, to feel offended. They question your motives, twist your words, and make you feel like you're constantly on trial. If you're not careful, you may start to believe it's your job to fix this, to prove yourself, to defend every word. But it's not. Your peace is not a bargaining chip. You are not required to trade your calm for their chaos. Imagine standing in a peaceful river, the water flowing gently around you. Then someone comes along and stirs the mud with a stick, making the water murky and turbulent. You have two choices. Dive into the mess, reaching for every piece of floating debris, or step back and trust that the water will clear on its own if you simply don't engage. That's exactly what protecting your peace looks like. It's the decision to remain still when everything around you is spinning out of control. It's choosing not to react to every provocation, not to respond to every accusation, not to carry every criticism inside your heart. Protecting your peace doesn't mean isolating yourself or avoiding conflict altogether. It means setting clear boundaries that honor your well-being. It means understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You can't keep giving if you're not being refilled. There are people who will drain your energy without even realizing it. They're so used to living in dysfunction that your calm feels like a challenge to them. They see your joy and feel the need to question it. They see your confidence and try to diminish it. And you must make a conscious choice not to let them. Sometimes, protecting your peace isn't about physically walking away, it's about creating emotional distance. It's about not giving them the power to disturb your inner world. You can be present without being fully engaged. You can listen without absorbing their negativity. You can be aware without being affected. It's learning how to observe without reacting, to see without getting pulled into the drama, to know when to respond and when to stay silent, when to lean in, and when to pull back, when to fight, and when to let go. There will always be people who misunderstand you, who think they know your heart when they don't, people who project their fears and insecurities onto you. If you try to explain yourself to them, you'll find yourself caught in their tangled web of confusion, rehearsing conversations, doubting your words, second-guessing your actions. But peace comes when you realize you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to answer every question, respond to every accusation, or defend yourself against every false perception. Peace is not the absence of conflict, it is the presence of clarity. It is knowing who you are, understanding your intentions, and being at rest in your spirit regardless of what's happening around you. It is standing firm in your truth, even when others refuse to see it. It is holding onto your joy, even when others try to steal it. It is keeping your focus, even when distractions surround you. Sometimes, protecting your peace means choosing silence. It means walking away, It means saying, "I don't need to explain myself," and letting that be enough. Your peace is precious, it is sacred, and not everyone deserves access to it. You have to be willing to disappoint people to protect your peace. You have to accept that they will think, say, or believe what they want. You are not responsible for managing their emotions. You are only responsible for managing your own. So, the next time someone comes into your life stirring up confusion, remember this. You don't have to explain yourself to the demons in people. Hold your peace, protect your heart, stand firm in who you are, and let your silence speak louder than words. Discernment is one of the most powerful tools you have, the quiet inner voice. That gentle nudge that tells you when something isn't right. It's more than intuition. It's a spiritual awareness that helps you see beneath the surface, beyond the noise. When you meet those who challenge, question, or try to pull you down, let discernment guide you. Let it protect your peace. Picking up from where we left off, discernment is the key that helps you decide which battles to fight and which ones are simply not worth your time. It's what allows you to see clearly when a conversation is genuine, and when it's just a trap designed to pull you into unnecessary conflict. Discernment helps you understand when someone truly wants to understand you, and when they're just looking for a way to bring you down. Not every situation calls for your engagement. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every accusation needs defending. When you develop discernment, you begin to see the spirit behind the words. You start to recognize when someone is speaking from a place of pain, jealousy, or bitterness, and once you see it, you have the power to rise above it. You can choose not to get caught up in their storm. Discernment lets you take a step back and evaluate the situation with clarity, like looking at a raging fire and knowing that pouring water on it might only make the flames burn higher. There will be people who enter your life pretending to be friends, pretending to support you, pretending to care, but over time, their true intentions become clear. They start talking negatively about you behind your back. They plant seeds of doubt and confusion. They twist your words and manipulate your actions. Without discernment, you might find yourself constantly explaining, trying to prove your worth, trying to win them over. But with discernment, you understand that their problem isn't really with you, it's inside themselves. You don't have to participate in their confusion. Discernment isn't about judging others. It's about protecting yourself. It's about knowing when someone speaks truth and when they speak deception. It's about deciding when to engage and when to walk away. It's about recognizing when your words will bring light and when they will only add fuel to the fire. Sometimes, no matter how much you explain yourself, the other person simply will not understand. Not because you're unclear, but because they're not ready to receive your truth. They're unwilling to see beyond their own perspective. They refuse to let go of their own story. When you realize this, you must choose. Keep talking and hope for a different outcome. Or hold your peace, knowing that sometimes silence is the most powerful response. Discernment also helps you notice patterns. You might observe that certain people always bring conflict into your life. Every conversation leaves you drained, confused, or frustrated, no matter your good intentions. They twist them. You could be celebrating a success, and they'll dim your joy. You could be sharing a truth, and they'll question it. You could be offering love, and they'll make it feel like a burden. Without discernment, you might think the problem is you. But with discernment, you see clearly, it's not about you. It's about them, and the battles they're fighting inside. Here's a truth that's hard to accept. Some people aren't looking for answers, they want arguments. They don't seek clarity, they seek control. They don't desire peace, they're invested in chaos. No matter how much you try to explain yourself, it will never be enough. You could offer every detail, every reason, every truth, and they'll still twist it against you. When you see this, ask yourself, why am I still engaging? Why am I still explaining myself to someone who doesn't want to understand? Discernment is your shield. It guards your peace. It gives you permission to walk away without guilt. It reminds you that not every door that opens is meant for you to walk through. Not every invitation should be accepted. Not every conversation deserves your energy. There's wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Strength in recognizing when someone isn't ready for your truth and choosing to keep it for those who are. There's power in choosing your battles wisely. With discernment, you stop taking things personally. You stop internalizing other people's projections. You stop feeling like you must defend yourself against every misunderstanding. Instead, you stand firm in who you are. You let your actions speak louder than words. You respond with peace. Sometimes, the best way to deal with the demons in people isn't to confront them, it's to let them fight their own battles. You are not their savior. You are not their scapegoat. You are not their punching bag. You are a person of purpose, peace, and power, and you don't owe explanations to those committed to misunderstanding you. When you walk in discernment, you walk differently, you speak differently, you respond differently, you understand your time, energy, and peace are too precious to waste on those not ready to receive them. So, the next time you face someone who challenges you, ask yourself, is this a conversation worth having? Or am I just explaining myself to the demons in people? Stand firm, hold your peace, and when needed, walk away. Boundaries aren't just good advice, they're essential. They're the invisible lines that protect your peace, preserve your energy, and safeguard your sanity. When you set boundaries, you're not being harsh or difficult. You're being wise. You're acknowledging that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. Building on the importance of discernment, let's now turn to the crucial role boundaries play in protecting your peace. Without clear boundaries, your time, your mind, and your spirit become vulnerable, and if you don't set them firmly, you'll find yourself constantly explaining yourself to people who have no intention of truly understanding you. Over time, this leaves you drained, worn out, and wondering why peace feels so elusive. The truth is, some people thrive on crossing your boundaries. They see your kindness and mistake it for weakness. They see your patience as an open invitation to take advantage. They push, prod, and test, not because they genuinely need something from you, but simply to see how far they can go. These people will guilt trip you, manipulate you, and try to convince you that your boundaries are the problem. But they're not. Your boundaries aren't the issue, it's their lack of respect. Once you understand this, it becomes clear that you are never obligated to explain your boundaries to anyone. You don't have to justify why you need space, why you said no, or why you're choosing to protect your peace. Setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out, it's about letting the right people in. It's about surrounding yourself with those who respect your limits, honor your space, and bring peace instead of chaos. Think of boundaries like a filter. They let the good flow in while keeping the toxic out. But if you leave your boundaries undefined, it's like leaving your front door wide open and then wondering why the wind keeps blowing everything around inside. You have to be intentional about who you allow into your inner circle. Not everyone who knocks on the door of your life deserves a seat at your table. Some people will react with anger or resentment the moment you set a boundary. They might accuse you of being distant, selfish, or unkind, but often, this reaction isn't about your boundary at all. It's about their discomfort with losing control over you. They may be used to you always saying yes, always being available, always explaining yourself. So when you start saying no, when you begin to pull back, it challenges them. It forces them to face the reality that they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries. And instead of adjusting, they lash out. Instead of respecting your need for space, they try to make you feel guilty for needing it. But here's the truth. If someone truly cares about you, they will respect your boundaries. They might not like them, but they will honor them. They will understand that boundaries are not walls, they're gates meant to keep your spirit safe. When you set boundaries, you send a powerful message, not just to others, but to yourself. You declare that your peace matters, that your well-being is important, that your voice deserves to be heard. This declaration changes everything. It shifts the atmosphere. It changes how people approach you. It draws a line in the sand and makes it clear that your time, your energy, and your spirit are not to be taken for granted. But you have to be consistent. You cannot set a boundary one day and then let it slide the next. You can't draw a line and then keep moving it to accommodate someone else's comfort. Boundaries are not meant to be flexible. They are meant to be firm. They are the guardrails that keep you from going off track. There will be those who try to negotiate with your boundaries. They will push and test, seeing how much they can get away with. And this is where discernment comes in. You have to recognize when someone's persistence isn't about a genuine need, but about pushing limits. You have to be willing to reinforce your boundaries, even when it's uncomfortable or feels harsh. Because if you don't, those same people people who disregard your boundaries will also drain your peace. They'll keep you explaining yourself, defending yourself, and doubting yourself. Sometimes, the hardest boundaries to set are with those closest to you: family, friends, or even colleagues who are used to having unlimited access to you. They might not understand why you need space, why you're not as available as before, or why you're no longer engaging in the same conversations. But that's okay. You are not responsible for making them comfortable with your boundaries. You are responsible for maintaining them. Remember, you're not being rude by setting limits. You're being responsible. You're being a good steward of your time, your energy, and your peace. Boundaries aren't just about keeping negativity out. They're about creating a space where you can thrive. They allow you to focus on what matters, invest in healthy relationships, and move forward without constantly being pulled back into unnecessary drama. Boundaries help you manage your emotional capacity so you're not constantly running on empty. They give you the freedom to walk away from conversations going nowhere, from draining relationships, and from toxic environments. In doing so, boundaries give you back control over your life. And here's a truth you must hear: you don't owe everyone an explanation. Let me say it again: you do not owe everyone an explanation. There's freedom in realizing that not every decision, every step, or every choice you make requires a detailed account to those around you. We live in a world where there's constant pressure to justify ourselves, to make sure everyone understands our motives, our intentions, our journey. But no matter how much you explain yourself, there will always be those who choose not to understand, those who twist your words, question your choices, and find fault in your actions. If you're not careful, you'll exhaust yourself trying to gain approval from people who were never meant to validate your path in the first place. So, when you find yourself constantly explaining, ask: am I explaining because I want to be understood? Or am I explaining because I'm seeking permission? There's a difference. One comes from confidence, the other from insecurity. If you know in your heart you're doing what's right, what's true, and what's aligned with your purpose, then you don't need validation from those who can't see you. You don't need to justify your path to those who were never meant to walk it with you. Continuing from the idea of knowing when to set boundaries and protect your peace, it's important to understand that your journey is uniquely yours. Not everyone is meant to walk it with you, and not everyone will truly understand it, because it was never assigned to them, it was assigned to you. Sometimes, explaining yourself can become a trap. You start with good intentions, thinking, if I just explain this, they'll understand. But instead of bringing clarity, you end up deeper in confusion. Instead of resolution, you find yourself tangled in a web of arguments and misunderstandings. You see, some people don't want an explanation. What they really want is control. They want to keep you talking, keep you defending yourself, keep you questioning your own truth. It gives them a false sense of power. It shifts the focus away from the real issues, onto manufactured drama. Before you know it, you're lost in a maze of words that lead nowhere. This is why discernment is so crucial. You need to recognize when an explanation is truly warranted, and when your silence is the wisest, strongest response. There are moments when saying nothing at all is the most powerful thing you can do. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not defeat. Silence is strategy. It is a way of reclaiming your power and refusing to engage in battles that serve no purpose. When you choose not to explain yourself, you're not being arrogant, you're being wise. You're choosing to protect your peace, rather than letting it be chipped away by those who have no genuine interest in understanding you. You're choosing to conserve your energy for what truly matters, for those who truly matter. This isn't about shutting people out or avoiding accountability. There will always be times when explanation is necessary, when clarity is needed, when honest communication is the key to healing and growth. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the kind of explaining that comes from a desperate need for approval, from a fear of rejection, from a hunger to be liked or understood by everyone. That kind of explaining will wear you out. It will leave you feeling empty, because it's a bottomless pit. You can never fill it, no matter how much of yourself you pour into it. When you are aligned with your purpose, you start to understand that not everyone will be on the same page as you, and that's perfectly okay. Some people are not meant to understand your vision because it wasn't given to them. It was given to you. Some people will never agree with your decisions because they're not the ones living with the consequences. You are. When you realize this, it becomes easier to let go of the need to explain yourself. You begin to walk with a quiet confidence, knowing your actions speak louder than words. Your life itself becomes your explanation. Your growth, your peace, these are your true responses. You cannot control how people perceive you. You cannot control how they interpret your actions or process your words. You could explain yourself with perfect clarity, and still, they might not understand. They might still choose to believe what they want, and that is entirely their choice. You do not have to carry the weight of someone else's confusion. You do not have to twist yourself into knots trying to make others see things from your perspective. It's not your job to manage their perception of you. Your job is to live authentically, walk in truth, and maintain your peace. There is a profound strength in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. This is not about withholding truth. It's about discerning where your truth will be valued. It's about recognizing when your voice will bring light, and when it will only add to the noise. Sometimes, the most powerful explanation is a quiet, steady walk in your purpose. Let your life be the proof. Let your joy be the evidence. Let your success be the response. Not everyone will understand your calling, and that's okay. Not everyone will see the vision placed on your heart. Not everyone will get why you move the way you do, why you make the choices you make, or why you pursue the path you're on. Some will question you, criticize you, even mock you. They'll try to pull you into debates, drag you into unnecessary explanations, and keep you tangled in their opinions. But remember this, your calling is not a conference call. It wasn't announced to everyone. It was whispered to you. When you understand this, you stop feeling the need to explain yourself to those who were never meant to understand your journey. When you have a calling on your life, you walk differently. You see things others don't see. You feel a pull toward things others might not understand. It's like walking through a crowded room and hearing a melody only you can hear. And sometimes, in that crowd, there will be those who try to disrupt your rhythm. They'll ask you to prove yourself, justify your decisions, explain why you're not doing what everyone else is doing. But the truth is, you don't owe them an explanation. You're not obligated to slow down your pace to match theirs. You're not required to diminish your vision so it fits within their comfort zone. There will be times when the enemy uses people, yes, even those close to you, to distract you from your calling. They might not realize they're being used. They might believe they're helping you, advising you, keeping you grounded. But if what they say pulls you away from your purpose, if their words create doubt instead of encouragement, if their influence keeps you stagnant instead of moving forward, then you need to recognize what's really happening. You need to see it for what it is, a distraction. And distractions often come disguised as good intentions. They come wrapped in concern, packaged as practicality, sometimes even presented as love. But when you're clear on your calling, you must be just as clear on what is a distraction and what is direction. Your calling is not about convenience. It won't always make sense to those around you. Sometimes it won't even make sense to you. But here's the truth. You don't have to understand every step to take the next one. Picking up where we left off, when you don't need to understand every step of your journey, the key is simply having faith to keep moving forward and the wisdom to avoid getting tangled up in unnecessary conversations along the way. When people question you, challenge you, or push back against your purpose, remember, you don't owe them a response. You don't have to explain why you're doing what you're doing. Sometimes, the strongest answer you can give is your continued progress. There will always be those who want to debate your destiny. They'll dissect every move, analyze every choice, and put your entire journey under a microscope. They'll demand answers, explanations, and justifications. But here's the truth. Not every question deserves your response. Not every critic merits your attention. Sometimes the best reply is silence. Sometimes it's simply to keep moving, keep building, keep growing. While they're busy talking, you're doing. While they're debating, you're creating. While they're questioning, you're boldly walking in your calling. When you're clear on your purpose, you realize that your focus is your most valuable asset, and focus rarely goes hand in hand with endless explanations. The moment you stop to explain yourself to those not walking your direction, you lose momentum. The moment you pause to justify yourself to those never meant to walk alongside you, you give them a power they were never meant to have. Your time is too precious to waste on those committed to misunderstanding you. Your energy is too valuable to be drained by people who only seek to exhaust it. Your purpose is too important to be derailed by those who are not invested in it. Here's another hard truth. Not everyone will celebrate your calling. Not everyone will support your journey. Some people will project their fears, their limitations, their insecurities onto you. They'll try to convince you that their doubts are yours. Their fears are yours. Their limitations are yours. But you must stand firm. Hold tight to what you know is true. Be willing to walk alone. That means walking in your purpose. Because at the end of the day, the only validation you need is the confirmation that you are on your path. The path designed uniquely for you. The path leading to your destiny. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, pause and ask, is this conversation worth my peace? Is this explanation worth my energy? Is this person worth my time? If the answer is no, then hold your peace. Keep moving forward. Let your work speak. Let your progress be your proof. Let your calling be your confidence. When you're walking in your purpose, you don't need to explain yourself to the demons in people. You just need to keep walking, keep believing, and keep moving forward. Stand firm, hold your peace, and let your calling speak for itself. As we journey through life, we must recognize that not everyone is meant to understand our path. We are not obligated to explain ourselves to those who carry confusion, doubt, or negativity. Our peace, our purpose, and our progress speak louder than any explanation ever could. Setting boundaries, discerning when to speak and when to remain silent, and protecting our calling are not acts of arrogance, they are acts of wisdom. When we stop explaining ourselves to the demons in people, we reclaim our power, preserve our peace, and stay aligned with our purpose. Let your actions be your voice. Let your growth be your response. Let your life be the undeniable evidence of the truth you carry. Stand firm. Hold your ground. Let the noise fade into the background as you continue walking boldly into your destiny. Keep moving forward, knowing your purpose is greater than their perception.